Okay. I guess we're a little out of order here. So who wants to go first? I had Carol Witt, but I don't see her here. So either Trent or Julius can go first.
Yes, Professor Mike, all of those,
Yep.
it's one team. Then
Oh,
there
it's
are
all one
sharing.
team?
Yes, it is one team. It's
Okay, well, in that
sharing,
case,
sharing by Trent. Mr. Trent, it is the CEO for Spirit Game.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm
I can
just,
take it together with Trent. Exactly.
yes,
Perfect.
yes, yes.
okay. All right. Share your screen. Let's get started.
Julius, you want to start or you want me to kick it off?
Go ahead, Trent.
Okay.
Trent.
Yeah, we're Spirit of the World Spirit of the Game Foundation. We're a global collective. A lot of people kind of look at all of the different areas of our work and they struggle to wrap their head around how a single organization can effectively work in so many different fields. But the way we do that is very decentralized. So we have different divisions, each with their own structure. And a lot of the reason that we work in so many different areas rather than most organizations that just focus on one is what we call intersectionality. And what we mean by that is that we have discovered over the last about a decade of research and talking to experts from literally every corner of the earth, how interrelated all of our major problems are and how siloed the thinking is of people that only work from one industry or only go to events where they communicate with their peers. And for several years, I went to most of the major peace conferences around Europe. And the reason I said went is that over time, I realized that we would go to these events, speakers would come up, big round of applause, everybody's super energetic, new ideas. Yeah, let's go ahead and change things. That person really brought a new perspective. Let's do things differently. And then inevitably, you followed up with those same people, sometimes in as little as 1 week after that event, and they were right back to business as usual. So we've realized siloed thinking is a major reason why so many major societal problems persist. But there's also this competition, this, particularly in the nonprofit space, but a lot also in impact and social startups, of trying to convince the funding sources that their problem is the biggest problem. So we encourage all of you that are listening here, no matter what it is that you're most passionate about, to, yeah, follow the advice of the last speaker and ask AI. Ask AI, like, hey, what other major societal dysfunctions are at the root of the one that I'm most passionate about? We have a particular exercise called the 25 Whys. And why we call it that is that we realized there's a very common exercise called the 5 Whys that most of you have probably heard of. But we started doing the 5 Whys exercise with several major societal issues. And we realized that there's not just one cause of any of these problems. So you really want to go down the rabbit hole with AI, do a 25 Whys exercise of your own with AI, where you ask, okay, this is the one problem that I really would like to spend my life solving. What are the 5 root causes of this problem, the 5 biggest ones? Okay, so it's going to give you a list of 5. You know, you might want to narrow it down. It might give you a list of 10. So yeah, if you go 10, it gets really numbers. These numbers get really big because then you're going to do that same thing again. Like, okay, here are the 5 root causes of my core problem. What are the root causes of those problems? If it's 5 different ones for each of those, now you're down to 25. But by the time you do that, if they're all separate, you get down to the 5th level, you have 3,125 root causes. But here's what you're going to see. You're not going to end up with 3,000 different causes. You're going to end up with probably about 1,000 causes, and about 200 of them, they actually branch out and come back together. What you're going to see through that exercise is that there are issues that are at the core that are major that you have been dismissing, that you have been disregarding because you never did this exercise. You never noticed. Nobody ever came along, helped get you out of your silo, helped get you, introduced to people that come from a completely different field and have a completely different problem-solving approach. That, yeah, that's a challenge. So I'm going to pause there, and I'll pick back up after Julius talks about our AI Academy and our AI Institute. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to encourage all of you, A, think outside your box, get outside your box, and you don't have to go to some conference that is nothing to do with your main area of work anymore. Again, you've got a wonderful tool at your fingertips. Just make sure that you're asking this question of the AI anytime you're actually looking for some new solutions. What would somebody who comes from a completely different background, how would they approach this problem? Julius?
Hi, everybody. I'm Julius. AI Academy and AI Institute, Trent mentioned over there, but I actually want to start from where he left off on the branching out of the systemic issues in society and how we can actually see that in applied systems thinking. So if you check out my website and if you go a bit into my research, you will see that I'm all about applying the methods of science to society and to the social structure, things that we haven't done until now. So we haven't had a scientific approach, a truly scientific approach to designing society. If so, a lot of things would be different. You can see a lot of I wouldn't say it mistakes, but faults in the designs of the things that we have today. Many of them intentional, probably a lot more unintentional. So in this, I'm coming back to the topic of this segment that was, I think, AI in the public administration, public systems, and corporations. I remember that was the topic for our discussion, and I thought it was gonna be a more of a panel discussion. And it's something that I'm trying to impact locally. So I started my own project on this together, of course, with Trent, Spirit of the Game Foundation, the Impact Villages. We started this 2 years ago to progress steadily into creating impact villages, and we're just laying the foundations, actually the walls and the roofs for the first impact center that we are building here in Romania. And between all of this, we did the AI Academy as a necessity to keep ourselves updated. And basically what you're seeing there, the AI Academy, the mastermind of the AI Academy is just a group of people that want to do better and want to develop their skills using the best opportunities available to them. So this is what we're doing. Of course, AI is going to be there. It's a mastermind. If you've ever participated in the mastermind, we have mastermind groups that basically self-teach and self-develop each other as they move along through the process. And it's a dedication to yourself for improvement and for bettering the systems that we already have. And this is a mission for till the end. So this is what I wanted to mention. Trent, you had something specific that you wanted me to introduce or to present?
Yeah, if you could just walk them through the coachingimpact.org website and those two offers, but also about the AI Institute and the area where you're going next with now that the AI Academy is established.
Should be coming up. Is there, right? It is. So what you're seeing is a product we launched about a month ago that we were doing Maximize Your Impact as a standalone course. And once AI came into the market, we developed the certification from the Maximize Your Impact. We developed a certification blueprint. This was first when 3.5 GPT was on the market. So we've been progressing that, and it's been ramping up everything that we do to the point that if the user is not AI friendly, it's very hard to work with them. So we developed this as a bundle just to get everybody on the same page. How, where is your impact? Do you have the tools? Do you need to learn the tools to achieve a better impact, to actually get through this course properly? Because you might do it, it's a 13-week course, it's not a heavy load. So if you're using AI, if you're dedicating 2 hours a week, you can properly do this. I mean, dedicating, you can be in a meeting for 3 hours and you can just dedicate an hour. Focus, it's a focus group. So people need to come back to the focus group and get out of the dispersive attention society. I think this is just ruining the brains of everybody, especially children. That the focus groups are no longer there. We need focus groups. We need masterminds, and we need dedicated people in society that can actually achieve this. And this is the mission that we are trying to put out there. You can find this on coachingimpact.org. And I had this a bit best option of the AI Academies on my website. You can find this on Julius Bidai's site on the AI Academy. So like it says, it is what it is. Basic skills, practical skills for a better understanding of what we have on the table. Personally, I lost a lot of money with AI, just using tools that I never used the second or the third day. It drove me crazy. I started focus groups to get that as my financial waste. It's a guide of the Six Sigma operational excellence. We learn from experience. We do peer exchange. Sessions are live, personal, no pre-recorded stuff. We're a focus group. We do it best possible in that moment for everybody. And I think it speaks for itself. Now, as I said, we bundled this. It rounds up to about, I think, $100 a month, in which we pay for the premiums. The group pays for the premiums from the money, and it self-sustains operationally. That nobody makes a profit. You're just dedicating a focus group to yourself and your development, and you're spending $100 a month for it. This is the target and the goal for the masterminds and the focus groups on AI. And yeah, like you're seeing, we're laying things out very, very clear and very, very easy to understand, because we work with different levels of people. On the impact villages, one thing I learned, I'm working with locals. These people don't understand technology. They're good woodworkers, they're good stone workers. These people can't be left behind. Once AI hits, these are actually gonna be the skills that are most sought after. So we're gonna be looking at a return to the native skills. And these are the impact villages. I don't have a presentation of the work site put together. It's just a bunch of things on my WhatsApp feed. But yeah, this is the image of a typical impact village and what we have in plan. You can come to our Q&As, and you can come at any meetings with Spirit of the Game. Then can share the calendar where we have an open discussion, and we can deep dive into any of this. Of course, the aim is achieving resource management and waste management, but resource management is called resource-based economics. If you look at my website, I strongly promote resource-based economics as the model to shift from capitalism. What we have today is not even capitalism. It's something that we take into account seriously the things that we have. And a man before me, it's not my coin term, Jacques Fresco coined resource-based economics. There's a bunch of research on it. So far is the best research I've seen that lays out the blueprint for taking us in the next steps of the civilization. That I overlapped with a bunch of other things that I learned in my other research, and a bunch of other prominent figures out there that have systems that I personally vetted and are in place. And voila, we came up with efficient systems. And the best way to do them is to revive the old villages and start from the ground up. And this was my eureka moment when I realized that, yeah, I've been looking into major cities and I couldn't get my impact done there. So that's my course. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think that's a great segue to back to the topics of how can governments and corporations use AI more efficiently. But it's really, again, it's a holistic approach that we have a lot of teams across Africa, and one of our messages is always that a lot of African leaders and other parts of the global South, it's is very applicable as well. They are basically trying to run their economies following the Western economic model without realizing that that model never actually worked. That the Western economic model that is praised and has created so many, trillions of dollars of revenue and worth and all of that, it was always based on exploitation. In the beginning, not paying the true price for labor, still to this day, not paying the true price for the raw materials that they exploit. Bribing politicians so that you can get your lithium is a great way to make a bunch of money, but it's not sustainable, and it's also not paid for the future environmental costs of your product. As long as you can do that, as long as there's somebody for you to exploit, it's fine. Yeah, it's a great way to make money and ruin your societies. So that's part of the message. And again, getting back to nature. There's a big problem in most of the world of people flocking to the major cities, because most people also don't think about it. But major cities, they're a major driver of wealth inequality. They are essentially funnels or vacuums that suck money, rent, out of the hands of the working class and put it into the hands of the landowner. So everybody all around the world that's working on reducing inequality, think about that. Think about how everything you're doing to push people into a major expensive city is actually working against that inequality that you claim to be so passionate about. But what does any of that have to do with AI? What it has to do with is now there's this opportunity to decentralize innovation. Right now, we're going down the same rabbit hole that we've gone down in the past. Instead of it, being centralized in New York City, it's being centralized in Silicon Valley. How much money from all over the world is pouring out of national economies into the wealth of the big tech giants based out of the US? That this needs to be a part of the National Strategic Plan for all governments. You all need your own AI institutes, because most of these companies that came after the LLMs, they're not inventing, they are innovating. And the difference is, inventing means you create something new, and innovate means you create a new way to use something that already exists. Well, guess what? Your homegrown entrepreneurs, if you get out of their way, make the path easy for them, they can innovate just as good as anybody else on earth. But if you don't support them, 5 years from now, you're going to be looking at your national balance sheet and see that money keep streaming out of your country to other countries, to the major corporations in other countries. All right, well, what does any of that have to do with rural renewal? Well, a great place to innovate? Sure, the major city, there's a lot of interaction, a lot of that back and forth, but reconnecting with nature is a really good way to see things in a new light, to see new uses for things that you hadn't thought of. So we encourage both. We're not about like, hey, let's all be a bunch of hermits, get off the grid, totally disconnect from the internet, and go live in the forest. We're like, hey, go live in the forest, but stay connected. Be able to walk out your door. We're even designing a desk. It's grass, a grass covered desk. Imagine sitting there, covered, secured from the elements, but still your desk is not wood or steel or anything else that you're looking down at right now. Real live growing grass. So when you rest your hand on it, you're connected with nature. There's a lot more on that, but this is also this paradigm shift that we need to break. Technology does not have to mean less connection with nature. Use AI to free up your time so that you have more time to connect with nature. Take that strategic pause that we heard about from Brian Cassidy, but if your strategic pause can involve a 15-minute walk in the wood and you're back at your desk within 20 minutes, yeah, that's going to be an even better pause than just going out on your balcony like I have to, because I haven't yet convinced my wife to buy into this. So, yeah, we're still stuck here in Zurich, one of the most expensive cities on earth. But those are, a lot of the, just different examples that we have of kind of the intersectionality. And I know this is a very focused and very specialized conference on a particular topic of techno innovation, but there's a lot more aspects to innovation and technology than the conventional ones. So we are going to have a third speaker here for the final 15 minutes of our segment. It is Raksha Joshi. She will be talking about the Regenerative Impact Alliance, which was formed by a group of former Spirit of the Game leaders, and they are advancing quite a few of their own initiatives. And I believe she'll also spend a few minutes talking about her own work with AI. So I just wanted to make sure that she was queued up on that. We had a little miscommunication about the overall timing of our segment, but I am going to pause for just a second before I move on to our next topic, just to ask our host, Professor Bussler, if he has any questions or feedback or pushback. We totally welcome pushback. It doesn't have to be a nod along. Hey, if you disagree with anything that we've said so far, let's hear it. That's how we refine our viewpoints.
Okay, thank you. I'm a free market economist, so some of the things you said there go against some of the things that I believe in, but we'll save that discussion for another day. When you teach these things about AI, isn't AI sort of constantly changing? So I'm wondering that, somebody goes through this, they learn how to use AI and its benefits. A year or so down the road, will that be different than what they're learning today? Julius.
This is me. Yes. Let me just put this back. Yes, that's the mastermind. This is exactly what I was talking about. The direction it goes updates you with. This is dedicating. It's a not a one-time thing. It's $100 a month for the rest of your life, and that's it. And you spend it like that. You have a focus group. As it progresses, the initial model offering was 10 apps each week. Survey, best 2, get a deep dive, pay the premiums from the group money. You pay the premiums each week on 2. So you see what they do. Are they worth the money? Are they not? This is golden. Managing this as a group of 12 people is golden. You save yourself a lot of time. You save yourself a lot of money. You know the AI tools. You're going through 40 tools each month. You don't need more than that. If you manage that with a group, you have survey on 10 each week. 2, you go deep dives. You're not going to use more than 6 tools altogether a day. It's impossible. You use your language models, some text generator, you use the presentation generator, website generator. Let's say you round up 10 tools. I round up around 10 to 12 tools a day that I use, specific ones for specific things. So yeah, this is the life. This is life on Earth now. Welcome everybody.
And do you see as AI, I mean, AI is fairly new now. Do you see over time it evolving and perhaps changing into something else or adding, doing some things it isn't doing today?
They're talking now about 2 niches. So the major developers are going with general intelligence, that the general intelligence would know interconnected systems, or they're working with niche. So they want to limit it to a specific niche of society. It has only down that line. You develop specific tools for that and don't give it general access to everything because you're afraid of it. neither. I think it's a mix of the both. That
Okay.
this is where it's going, because we have so many major players. Nobody's gonna forfeit control. We have another 15 years before it molds into one. So that's kind of the timeline that is assessed right now. But this, if we actually manage as a society to enforce an AI with specific variations that it chooses itself, we just tell it what we want. Like I think somebody said, I saw in Brian's presentation, you have to be specific in what you tell it. It was in those snapshots. Sparkle, I think, or I don't remember, but yeah, it was there. So yeah, you have to be specific. As long as you tell it what you want, it's gonna do exactly what you tell it. This is very important for people to understand. The more specific we are, the better details is gonna output. This is gonna become norm at one point. And then you're just accumulating IQ points from the AI. So that you have a parallel advancement of humans, groups of humans at least, with AI in knowledge and in capacity.
Let me ask one other thing. Trent mentioned how the use of AI will improve efficiency in operations. For less than developed societies, I think that's a big improvement. It'll help them to advance. But more developed countries, and we're sort of seeing that problem now, as efficiency is improved, there's less people needed to carry on these functions. Within the last week or two, was it Amazon that announced they don't need 14,000 people that they currently have employed because AI is going to take over some of the jobs. And there's a few other fairly large corporations that are implementing AI, and it makes it much more efficient, and therefore you need less people. Now, personally, I believe in the long run, that's a good thing because it's going to make every worker more efficient and be able to produce more. In the short term, though, are we going to have to deal with a unemployment problem?
Trent, me, you, for huh?
I'll jump in
Put
here.
a spot here.
That I think this is where it's also important to make a distinction between AI and automation, because they do go hand in hand, but they're not exactly the same thing. A lot of the jobs that are going away are jobs that a robot basically is doing. The robot doesn't have to think. It's just programmed, do this, then go there. You can use AI to make a smarter robot, but it is kind of two separate fields, and it is a double whammy. Because like a lot, and I've been fearing this for a while. Like, my fears haven't really kicked in yet, because like you look at some of the jobless numbers going up, and you're like, well, is that an AI, or is that an automation, or is that a tariffs type of thing, or is it some other just global uncertainty where companies are no longer not building big projects right now? I think it's too early to tell. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, like you said, in the long run, because I think if our politicians can get out of their own way and actually think about this from a logistical point of view, if our societies end up with fewer full-time jobs or fewer more than full-time jobs, I think that's a net win for us as a human race. And I was just looking at some of the numbers of average hours per week worked around the world, and I was surprised. I mean, there's still certain countries where the average person is still working more than 52 hours, and other countries where it's down to 24 hours. So that's how we are hoping. And then, that's where we're putting a lot of our energy, is into guiding that mentality of stop. This is our opportunity to stop just using the newest technology to make a bunch more money, and instead free up our time so we can actually have an impact. So that's a big part of the mission of our AI for Impact division. The reason why we went and we branched out, well, first of all, we just started doing it for our own volunteers, but then we realized somebody has to be the voice in the room every time you're hearing about efficiency that just says, what about impact? What about impact? Professor Bussler, what about impact? How are you using AI to have more of an impact? How are you freeing up your time to have more of an impact? People get tired of hearing that, but there's a marketing mantra that says if somebody hears something 20 times, they finally starts to believe it. So I'm going to go ahead and get as many of those what about impacts into this conversation as I can, because we're only here once a year. So if you take away one thing from everything we've talked about, let's leave it at that. What about impact? And ask that. Brian gave some great questions to ask AI. Well, you can set up a recurring prompt especially if you have the premium models. Train your AI to start asking you that, because it is what your coach is. It is what your mentors, it is what everybody else who's helping you with whatever you're doing should be asking you. But they keep passing the buck and says it's not our job to tell you what to do. It's our job to just help you figure it out. Well, guess what? I think we've demonstrated by now that as a human race, we're pretty dang bad at figuring out how to make society better. We're pretty dang good at figuring out how to make some money in a way that makes society worse. So somebody's got to come along and be the what about impact. Maybe AI will finally take that on, because it's not going to hide behind that. It's not my job to talk about impact.
Excellent. I'll tell you, bring up a good point. If somebody, people are working an average of, let's say 40 hours a week, which is the standard. If they use AI and they can get their job done in 30 hours a week or 24 hours a week, I can see obvious benefits to society as a whole, in that people have a better work-life balance. And the younger generation today, I'm getting from my students and recent graduates, they're looking for a better work-life balance. The generations ahead of them, you went to school, you got a degree, you went into the workforce, and you were making money. And as you were doing that, and you kept moving up, it required more of your time. And I have students that say to me, listen, I don't want to do what my father did. He went and got a great job. We had a great lifestyle, but I rarely saw him. So coming up with using AI to come up with this better work-life balance, I think has tremendous potential going forward. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, just to be clear, both Julius and I work about 60 to 80 hours per week, but we only spend about 20 to 30 of that hours working on income generating, revenue generating products. So we have both managed to create a system that allows us each to spend almost 40 hours a week on impact.
Yeah,
So it is
but
possible.
That's 10x. Can I come in here? That's 10x. So with AI, if you use AI wisely, this is what I figured out. So one work that was taking me a month, I did it in a day, 7 hours. Wow. Wow. Simple.
Yeah.
That was a revelation. It was a success that you could not feel. You could not feel that in one day. It's very important. And what I wanted to lay out under losing jobs, we are living in a society that was never designed for this. We designed people to be workers in factories. Then that flopped, automation. We're still dealing with the backlash of automation now. Then automation came, workers flopped. We designed IT people. The IT generation is so vast. Silicon Valley, everything there. Now you write code that writes itself to be better than you. That's AI. So we have AI now. A code that they wrote, you got so good at writing code, you designed so many engineers, so many code writers that you could achieve an AI. Now you're making them obsolete. What's the next level? We got to clean up the planet. Where about impact? This is it. You don't have any skills, go clean up the ocean. There's going to be plenty for people to do in a society that wants to develop itself sustainably, that actually is driven by resource-based efficiency. So the efficiency of resources on the planet Earth, where they need to be, where they are assigned, without the influence of financial barriers. So here you're eliminating the need for money directly, because we don't need money, we need resources. We need to work as a unit, as a population, what you call it, humanity. We need to work as a race. We are that. Once we achieve that, then we talk a different talk. That's But it has to happen. I mean, it has to
Yeah.
happen. We're working towards it. We are discussing it now. It was discussed like 50 years ago, first time. Now we're discussing it more seriously. We're taking into account things. We see progress. If you look at the timeline and the historical progress, there is progress. Humans are doing better, much better. I'm not crazy for this, right?
No, all makes sense, Julius, and I hope all this works out the way you say, and that will produce very positive results. I have about 15 minutes left. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, yeah, we had promised the final 15 minutes for
Yeah.
Raksha Joshi and the Regenerative Impact Alliance. So I'll just close with one final note right now, and I hope that you're also putting this seed in your students' head that right now there is never, literally never, ever been a better time to start a part-time business. I'm not talking about like a side hustle where you're going to go out there and do manual labor for somebody else who has more money than you. I'm talking about get started now with whatever idea. You put it out there and see if it grows, because don't wait till you graduate. Don't wait until you get laid off. Don't wait until your unemployment benefits run out. Start your side business now. Use AI to figure out how to get it launched and put your idea out there to the public to see if it's going to work. Because guess what? If it's your first idea, it ain't going to work unless you can tap into a personal connection. You talk to any entrepreneur, show me an entrepreneur who their first idea worked. Well, I made some money, but I wouldn't say that, I'm not counting like my 8-year-old, 9-year-old businesses. I'm talking about my first real businesses. I had to learn the hard way. So start now. And we will be offering a sprint incubator session. So keep your eye on coachingimpact.org. But our time is up for that. For Raksha, floor is yours. Thanks for being here to represent the Regenerative Impact Alliance.
And real quick, thank you, Trent and Julius. Very informative. I personally learned a lot out of this. I want to thank you. Then we'll turn over to Raksha.
Okay, awesome, Professor. We spent some time together yesterday, and Trent, thanks.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. Trent, thanks for the intro, and Julius, for you being here. We spoke about RIA yesterday, so I'm going to be speaking about my impact because Trent has honed it into me. What is your impact? Right? What is my impact? My impact is being smart with heart. It's all about raising a conscious collaboration with a smart economy and using AI and leveraging it for the cause that's important to me, which is women and families, right? In recent years, we've had the universe tell us in multiple ways it's time to reset. It's time to reset. And we haven't listened. AI is coming in, but it's bringing fear to us. It says you're going to lose your job. You're not going to be needed anymore. I beg to differ. Like Julius, I agree. AI is going to support us in creating more efficient life. It's going to have us finally, and I repeat this, finally have the opportunity to close the gender and financial gap that's there because of the way the systems were set up between men and women. I see this as an amazing opportunity for women to get out what they have always known internally and financially profit from it, as well as create communities and families that are stronger and more grounded. Whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, or financially. AI is giving us the opportunity to create the kind of life we really want to create, right? So how am I using that in my mission or my passion project? I'm using it in 3 different ways. I have my own Amaras Technological Agency. which is to support women businesses build their systems, their eco environment, as well as run businesses from whatever part of the world they live in. They don't need to have access to an office building. As long as they've got internet and a phone, they can start running a business from there. They can actually be there to support their children with homework. They can now also take care of their elderlies, because these are the things that women end up holding in their hands for generations. This is what it's been like, right? It's always the women who get, I'm not going to say bogged down, but who are left holding the responsibility of raising children, taking care of aging parents, and in some cases, even their spouses. Now they have the freedom to be able to do all of that with the power of AI. What do I mean by that? I shared an example with you yesterday, Professor, where I volunteer at an elderly community here. And there's a 87-year-old woman who comes in there who's on a lot of drugs. She didn't realize that some of these drugs don't really talk very well to themselves with each other, you know. They create reactions. Because of this and because of AI, what we were able to do was punch all her medication in there and have AI explain to us, how is this interacting? She's now in a program where she's working with her physician to come off some of these medications. And she's actually getting healthier. That's just one aspect. Kids, oh my goodness, children in schools. I'm not talking about high schools and universities. I'm talking about grade school levels, where they're learning AI and how to implement it. And oh my God, some of them are coming up with some amazing entrepreneurship ideas. Think about it. They're going to leave grade school financially independent because of this. I feel sorry for the colleges and universities. Sorry to say if there's anyone here that's in that field, but some of your jobs might actually be at risk. And you'll have to reinvent yourselves. The tenure doesn't work anymore. It's not going to be because I have a tenure at this university. No, but nothing intended personally, Professor. I know you're in that field, but
Do have tenure at the university.
I'm just saying it's an amazing time to be living. As I explained yesterday, the impact we're having in Latin America, in Africa, in Asia, providing education to children that can't get to school just because of where they live geographically. We are now able to go into their homes once a week and teach them something. These are the kind of things that are amazing for what Amara Systems does in its community. In the women's world, what this is also allowing us to do is educate them. Educate them in using the resources that are available to them locally and being able to do everything else that they want to, right? It's like the project in Kenya for the water holes or in Trinidad for humus soil, where it's improving farming. It's educating local people to use their local resources and to thrive. Taking away the bureaucracy and the red tape that was created by systems that were never meant to be beneficial for the masses, but for the few. So you guys have really bashed this out between Mr. Cassidy being here, you, Professor, yesterday and today, what Trent and Julius has said, what Noor has talked about, what Mr. Saith yesterday spoke about. We have really bashed AI to a point where it is a miracle, but it has to be used with humanity in mind. You cannot allow it to become the only thing. AI only knows what I tell it to know, or what the millions around the world tells it. So we have the power to say, hey, AI, I want you to do this for me, and how can I create this lifestyle for myself? So my request, honestly, is very simple. I'm not against men. I love men. They're half of the population. Nothing against them. But there's definitely a communication gap. There is a breakdown, right? Gwen is my passion project. It stands for Global Women Empowerment Network. Why did I say empowerment network for women? Usually you find that when women are empowered, families thrive, communities become stronger. It's more stabilized. So that is why that program is called that. But honestly, I envision hosting a cruise conference in 2027 where I've got people wearing t-shirts saying, I am Gwen because of this, or saying, I am the son of Gwen, I'm the husband of Gwen, I'm the father of Gwen, right? Because it's all about community. For me, it's always about community. That's where I come from. So when I say smart with heart, I use 5 frameworks. The first one is self-awareness. Know who you are and what you stand for before you build anything, whether it's a business or anything, right? Leverage systems to work with soul. Use technology to amplify humanity, not replace it. Sustainability. Design businesses and communities that give back more than they take. Synergy. Choose to collaborate over competition. Leverage diversity as a source of innovation instead of using it as a differentiator. Service. Measure success not by what you earn, but what you enable others to have, right? My vision is very simple. My vision is bold, but very simple. Over the next 5 years, I want to impact 1 million women's lives through education, technology, and community. How am I going to do it? I don't have the foggiest idea, but I'm going to do it by speaking on platforms like this and having people join my movement. This is not my personal mission. This is a movement. We have an opportunity that we've never had before, which is mass communications. Do you remember the time when newspapers and the TV channels told us what was going on in the world? But now you've got individuals using their phone to tell you what's really going on in the world. We have such an amazing opportunity here to uplift humanity, and that's what I want to do. I can't change the system by fighting it, but I can definitely change it by planting seeds of change from within, right? And again, I'm going back to my vision. My vision has always been to build bridges. It's bridges over the borders, the cultures, and the generations. Because right now, with technology, one of the things we're facing most is lack of communication and conversation between generations. There's the wisdom and the innovation that actually has to build that bridge so that it can survive. So I am going to wrap it up because I know you're looking at the watch. So actually, what I want to invite everyone is either reach out. Just reach out. Let's have a conversation how we can make this difference and how we can make it quickly, right? The world has reset itself before and it will reset itself again. But true transformation begins with an inner reset. I don't know what's going to cause that for you. Something has to break the camel's back, like they say. It was the straw for the camel. What is it going to be for us? What can we do? Our journey proves what we are capable of doing. So, really, Professor, I'm just going to say one last thing. Let's build with a smart heart. And what that truly means to me is let's be conscious about our choices. Let's be collaborative and let's communicate instead of building something that's fragile. Let's build something strong that is everlasting. Okay. The world doesn't need more competition. It needs connection. And together through my movement of Gwen, the reset, and the Amara system, I believe that I will be able to get there before my journey ends on this planet. So I thank you for my 15 minutes today and my 15 minutes yesterday. It's been a true pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Raksha. You're very inspirational, and I hope you're successful in changing the lives of 1 million women. I've thought for a long time, women have really gotten the short end of the stick forever. And now I think they're starting to realize that they should have the same opportunities open to them that men do. And I've noticed something in the U.S. over the last few years. If you take a look at all the college students, the population is roughly 50% men, 50% women. But in colleges, not just my university, but across the U.S., enrollments are 60% female and only 40% male. So I think now women are realizing that they can do all these things too. They can be empowered. They can learn how to use all these AI tools, and they can find a good balance between contributing to society and the economy and raising a family. And as you mentioned, if you're home with a computer and a telephone, you can really start to do something. So I hope everything you said turns out. I'll be so happy if it does. Thank you so much. I appreciate your talk.
I appreciate the opportunity. I would erase the word hope. I am not a big fan of hope. I'm a big fan of creation, and that's what I'm out there to create. Right?
Excellent. Thank you so much. For everybody here today in this session, thank you so much. Very informative. And as I said, I like to learn something from every one of the sessions that I attend, and I typically do. So thanks everybody for what they've done.